Hi everybody, welcome to a new tutorial on SynthScaper. In this video we are going to go through the oscillator parameters. So let's start. As you recall from previous tutorials, you know how to create an empty scene. So we go ahead and set an empty scene like so that we have only oscillator number 2, which is set to have a preset of init, which we set again. Now, let's go through the oscillator parameters, which you find here, or of course for the other oscillator here and there as well. So let's open it. So we have a new window, we have a close button, a title, and here you can see you can select the 3 oscillators. So if you want to work with oscillator number 1, you click there. If you want to work with oscillator number 2, you click here, and of course for oscillator number 3, you click here. You notice straight away a difference compared to other windows. Here you can also mute and unmute oscillators. So if you go back, for example, to other windows like the init window, you cannot mute oscillators from there, but you can from the oscillator parameters window or screen. Now, for each oscillator, there are 3 layers, layer 1, 2, and 3, which you can select individually, or you can select also all the layers clicking here where it says layer all. Each layer can generate up to 6 voices, okay? And for each layer, or for all the layers, you can select a sample. So in this case, for layer number 1, the sample which is selected is called sine from the group generated. Okay, so you see the common syntax here, group name, comma, and then the sample that has been selected. So in this case, when you have a init scene and an init preset, you will find that for that oscillator, you have a layer number 1 with a sine sample. You don't have anything on layer 2, and you don't have anything on layer 3. That means that if you mute layer number 1, you don't have any sounds. And of course, if you're muted, you have the classical sine sound. Now, let's decrease a little bit the level as well. So back to the oscillator parameter. Now, let's have a look at the selection of samples. So let's select the layer number 1, and let's click here where it says generated sine. You can see a new window. It's called the samples library window. You can close the window and you can select to browse preset from the built-in set of presets, or also from user presets as well. Here you see a list of samples for the group called generated. You can click on the group to go up at the hierarchy, or click back to go up and see all the different groups. And as you can see, there are quite a few groups. You can set the sample for that particular layer. You can tune the sample, which I will demonstrate in another tutorial, or you can also play the sample to hear what it sounds like before you select it. So for example, let's go under instrument and let's select a clean flute and set that sample. So now as you can see, the this has been updated, so it says instrument, clean flute. So let's try it. As you can hear, we have a flute for layer number 1 for oscillator number 2. You can make some change immediately to where the pitch is, so you can go up an octave. You can go up and down semitone, and you can also make an adjustment in cents as well. Let's choose, for example, layer number 2 now, and let's choose another sample. So let's scroll down, let's go to synth, and let's choose access virus analog string number 1. So we'll click on that and set the sample. Let's try. Now for my taste, layer number 2, with this sample, the volume is too high, the level is too high. So if you look here on this radio, you see in the middle 1, 2, 3, that is the number of layers. So for layer number 2, which contains this string, we can adjust the level like so. So we can reduce the level. And reduce it a little bit more. And perhaps we go back to layer number 1 and we go up 2 octaves instead of 1. So now you hear probably a little bit better, the separation between the two. Now, a couple of other things from this radio. You can adjust the balance. So if you click on here, you can adjust if the sample is coming from the left or right channel. As well, you can adjust the high pass filter. And let me mute layer number 1 so you hear it better, but also the low pass filter, which gives you a band filter, right? And you can do that for layer number 2, 1 and 3, so all 3 different layers. As you can see, as I adjust the values for level, balance, high pass filter and low pass filter, you can actually see the numbers here, a representation in numbers here and percentage as well. For the adjustment that you're making. So for example, balance you see has been adjusted there, which is very useful. Let's add, for example, another layer. Let's go to layer 3 and let's choose, for example, I don't know, a one-shot guitar, and let's click on guitar number 1, set the sample. So as you can hear, it starts to you can start create very interesting sounds. And remember always to check the position of your reverb or space, and also the intensity as well, and also the reflection. As you can see, that is only for one oscillator and 3 layers. So it can be quite powerful. Now, let's go back to the preset and let's reset that oscillator number 2 to init. So we have back a sine wave. Now let me show you something else. If I go under oscillator parameters again and I choose layer all, it will say generated sine. Let's choose that again and let's choose user. Now you can see here a sample which I've imported, which is very simple to do. You do that, for example, for the file manager. You go under here where it says files, and then you can choose the location. In this case for me it was Dropbox. I selected a folder and then I clicked on the sample I wanted to download, and then I clicked on download. When you have done that, you have of course that WAV file available under the user categories here. So let's click on that and let's set the sample. Now I have assigned that sample of waveform to all the layers because I have selected layer all. So let's click on it. Let's click on the keyboard. Okay, too low as octave. Let's go up 2 octave. Okay, that's nice. So let's, for example, adjust a little bit the balance. So layer 1, we want the balance, for example, to be here. Let's just adjust the volume there. The balance for layer number 2, oops, down this way, and layer number 3 we leave in the middle. So it gives you more of a stereo effect like so, which is interesting. Now, if you click and hold on a key, the sample will repeat itself. So if you don't want that, at the moment I have all the layers selected, but you can do that individually for each layer. Click on play and click single. And that will stop, of course. So you can start to hear how nice it is. And again, let's make some further adjustment like so, and let's try it. And the beauty, of course, of this is now that I can go under each layer and make some adjustments. So for example, I could say layer number 2 goes up by 3 semitones, layer number 3 goes up by, for example, 7 semitones. Very, very interesting. And remember, this is just only oscillator number 2. Now, for example, I could unmute oscillator number 1, select it, go under layer all or only one layer, depending on what you want to do, and bring in, why not, for example, a synth. And let's choose something like a pad 1. Let's set the sample. Okay, now perhaps let's close that. Let's go here and decrease the intensity for that oscillator. As you can see, very, very interesting, unique instrument that you can create with SynthScaper. Okay, I'm going to stop here for this tutorial because there is a lot to absorb already, and we will continue in the next video to go through additional parameters from the oscillator parameters window. Enjoy, see you next time. Bye.